Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here on April 10th. Just a quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up finally getting out of the slump with the pick of the day as the Charlotte Hornets, -8, were able to take care of business against the Cleveland Cavaliers and won by about 20-something points, which is definitely a good sign as the NBA regular season comes to an end and Charlotte is able to keep their playoff hopes alive, despite the fact that Detroit was able to come back and beat the Memphis Grizzlies. But with that being said, that is going to bring us to our play of the day here on April 10th. And for our play of the day, we are actually going to go to a team total in the MLB, and we are going to be going with the Washington Nationals over 4, which is available at -105 at 5 dimes. Just some quick trends to showcase the reasons why. The over is 4-0 in the Nationals' last 4 during a Game 3 of a series. The over is 4-1 in the Nationals' last 7 when an opponent allows 5 or more runs in the previous game. And the over is 5-0 in Nick Pavetta's last 5 starts overall. Now, that's going to bring us to the pitching matchup. Since we are only focusing on the team total, we are only going to focus on Philadelphia's pitcher in this game, and it is going to be none other than Nick Pivetta, who has struggled throughout the entirety of his career, including this season. This season, he's 1-0 with a 6.52 ERA, and in his career, he is 16-24, and he has a career ERA of 5.37. It's also important to note that he has awful numbers historically against the Nationals, as the entire Nationals team who have faced him has a career batting average of .397 and a career on-base percentage of .463. Now, just a quick recap of last game's match between these teams. The Nationals were able to have a thrilling comeback yesterday as they trailed early and often in that game before rallying, led by a home run in the 9th inning by Robles, as the team was then able to score 4 runs in the 10th inning, and the team eventually won by a score of 10-6. Now, besides the fact that Pivetta has struggled throughout the entirety of the season so far, and the fact that the Nationals, led by Soto, who homered in extra innings, as well as Robles, as well as Rendon and Gomes, they have a lot of solid pieces on this lineup, and I think that it's important to note that the bullpens for both these teams are also awful. Catholic, I'll get to the Masters in a bit, but personally, I'm not a big golf guy. In terms of who I like, I've heard there's been a decent amount of sharp money on Matsuyama. I've heard that there's been a decent amount of money on Justin Rose for sharp money, and I heard that there's a lot of public money on Tiger. Personally, I think Tiger will finish in the top 10. I think he's poised for a solid tournament. I've heard a lot of square money has come in on Ricky Fowler, but in terms of me personally, I'm not really going to bet the Masters. I don't plan on it. I might get involved, and maybe after the 3rd round, if there's a player who I think could make a serious run in day 4. But in terms of the beginning, no, not really. I'd probably look to fade a Bubba Watson type. Some of these golfers who have won the tournament before, who have been extremely inconsistent over the entire season, because even though they've won 1 before or won 2 before, they are still very volatile and they could easily miss the cut. And I think Bubba Watson's a perfect example of one of those golfers. But in terms of me personally, no, I would post something on my Twitter if I end up getting involved. But realistically, I'm not a very big golf guy. The anti-roll stretch in terms of baseball, yes, I will get into some baseball stuff after I finish up with the play of the day. But as I was going to say, the Nationals have the worst bullpen, have one of the worst bullpens in all baseball. They actually have the worst. Their ERA is 8.24. But Philadelphia's bullpen is the 13th worst with 4.63. Plus the bullpen just blew the game yesterday, and they're missing some of their bullpen guys because of the fact they pitched yesterday. I think 4 is too low. The wind is blowing in, but I think the Nationals will be able to generate at least 5 runs in this game. I think Hellickson can do a decent job of stopping the Phillies, but I don't trust the Nationals bullpen. So I do like the Nationals winning the game, but I don't trust the bullpen at all in this type of situation. And for me, I don't like Pivetta. I don't like the Phillies bullpen. And for that reason, I see a lot of value on the team total over 4, especially at -105. But to answer Catholic's question, a lot of the betting that I have done so far this season in baseball is streak-based. And while some people bet against streaks, where logically they'll say a team like the Yankees lost 4 straight games hypothetically. There's no way they're going to lose 5 games. So people will just bet on the Yankees. I do the opposite, actually, where instead of anticipating when a streak is going to end, I just keep backing a given streak until I see it end personally. And the logic behind that is, on one hand, you only lose the bet once, or if you do the opposite, you can lose the bet multiple times. And when I'll elaborate on that right now. If you end up saying the Yankees have lost 4 straight games, they will not lose 5 games. And then, yeah, honestly, that's what I'm saying, though, is that, Thomas, even for me, for an example, you can, in theory, bet on even handicappers in general. If they're going through a slump, yes, you can bet on the idea that they're going to break out of their slump. But at the same point, let's just say hypothetically, for a baseball team, you have Yankees won 4 straight, or they've lost 4 straight. And you say the Yankees, there's no way they're going to lose 5 straight. You bet the Yankees, they lose. So the Yankees now have lost 5 straight. What do? You bet them again. There's no way they're going to lose 6 straight. They lose 6 straight. Then what do? You bet them again. You're going to keep betting them and losing money until they eventually win 1 bet. And by the time they win 1 bet, overall in terms of net, you've already lost money. Where if you look at it from another perspective and you say, well, I'm trying to give a good example. Well, the Braves, for example, have won 4 or 5 straight games. They've won 5 straight games. Do you think their streak is going to end? Instead of saying no, you just keep betting the Braves, and then as soon as their streak ends, you only lose once. Because let's just say you bet the Braves in the middle of a 4-game winning streak, you bet them to win the 5th, and they win. Then you bet them again to win the 6th, they win. You bet them to win the 7th, they lose. Then the streak's over. Or if even if they lose the first game that you bet on them at the 4-game streak, then you only lose once. Where if you bet against a losing streak and you bet on a team to win, you're going to keep betting on the same team. And then if they keep losing, you're going to be kind of stubborn and you're going to be stuck in quicksand as you're going to keep trying to dig yourself out of a bigger hole that you got yourself into. So in terms of the Royals, yes, I will bet against the Royals. Royals are awful, with the exception of Whit Merrifield, who currently has a 30-game hitting streak. But overall, this Royals team stinks. They were going to be bad anyway, and then Salvador Perez got injured for the season. Hey, Terry, how's it going? Salvador Perez, once he went down, the whole team's awful. Not to mention the fact that the Royals are terrible against lefties. And Kikuchi, 0-0 with a 4.02 ERA. He has actually pitched pretty well in 2 out of his 3 starts so far this season. And the Mariners are also 11-2. So even with the anti-Royals sentiment, you also have a lot of pro-Mariner sentiment, where people are saying, well, when are the Mariners going to fall back down to earth? And people are trying to anticipate when the Mariners are going to start losing, and they're going to say, oh, Mariners are 11-2. There's no way they're going to go 12-2. And then you'll bet against the Mariners, and then they're going to keep winning. That's what happened so far. Until I see the Mariners actually start to lose, I'll bet on the Mariners. And until I see the Royals end their current losing streak, I will end up betting on the Mariners today. But I do like the Mariners in that game. In terms of the Indians today, I was a fan of the under in that game, but I wasn't able to give that out because I had class today. The thing that you've learned, though, B-Phils, is that there are some pitchers, regardless of teams. Detroit's another perfect example, where people are looking at Detroit and saying Detroit's 7-4. There's no way they're going to beat the Indians with Bauer on the mound. There's no way the Tigers are going to go 8-4 to start the season. But they did. Because a lot of it is based on public perception, and people think that the Tigers are going to be a terrible team. Are they going to be a terrible team by the season's end? Probably. But baseball is a very momentum-based sport. And just because you're an awful team in the long run doesn't mean that you're an awful team in the short term. Another example is the Angels. Are the Angels a good team? No, but they've won roughly 3 or 4 straight, and they've looked like a really solid team lately. So according to the markets, they're going to be undervalued because people are going to be looking at the overall win totals and the general expectations of the team instead of looking at how streaky the individual team is at this given point in time. So I think the Angels are another good example. Maybe now not as much with the injury to Mike Trout that happened yesterday, and his status is currently questionable. But just in general, in terms of other games, there's other teams. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be fading the Giants pretty much every game in baseball, especially the first inning no score. I've made a lot of money with that. The Giants have yet to score a run in the first inning. And, yeah, for me, I think the momentum – well, for Texas, no, because Texas lost yesterday to the Diamondbacks after blowing a lead in the ninth inning. So Texas, they're also 5-6. No, Texas isn't really a great example there, but for Seattle, until I see Seattle start to lose, I'm going to keep riding Seattle, especially with slumps with teams as well. For example, the Orioles, I expect to struggle. They're 5-6. I expect them to fall apart shortly. In terms of other teams to look at, for example, another good example is the Yankees. Just because the Yankees have lost 2 or 3 games doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to win the third game against the Astros because of the fact that they're the Yankees. No, in terms of the Yankees today, I like the Yankees because I'm a fan of the Yankees, but I think the Astros are going to win this game. The Yankees can't beat Houston, and people are constantly in this frame of mind saying, well, the Yankees have the talent to beat Houston at least once, and that's the wrong frame of mind. People need to realize the fact that the Yankees have played extremely poorly in the 2 games against Houston, and Houston owns this team. And yet people, according to public bettors, think that just because they're the Yankees, they'll be able to get themselves out of the funk that they're currently in. But I'm sorry, then Beatfield, you might have to elaborate with what you meant by Texas then, because I misinterpreted what you meant on that one. But another example is with the Dodgers. They've looked really good this season, but the Cardinals have looked really good in the series against the Dodgers. And people are immediately going to think that the Dodgers should win this game today. And I'm saying that it's not automatically set in stone. I think that's just important. The pick of the day, B-Phils, I already did. It was on the Nationals team total over 4 today against the Philadelphia Phillies with Pivetta on the mound. It depends on what book you got it at. The book that I use actually offered 3.5 runs at -145 or so. I took that instead, but I think that team total of 4 makes a lot of sense. Pavetta's been awful this year. The Nationals hit him well. The Nationals just scored 10 runs. It came off an emotional game where they came from behind multiple runs, and then Soto hit an absolute bomb shot in extra innings. I like this Nationals lineup. I think the reason why the Nationals are going to fall apart is because of the fact that their bullpen's the worst in baseball, which I think is why I'm a little bit hesitant to bet on them in full games. But I do like him in first 5 innings in games, and I do like him in terms of overs. And I think that Pivetta will not figure out, how to get it going. He's proven throughout his entire career that he's an underwhelming and underachieving pitcher. And I think that this team total of 4 should result in a minimum of a push. And B-Phils, no, you're not being a chat hog at all. If anybody wants to comment on stuff, they can. I know this video is at 13 minutes, and I probably will end up posting my MLB leans for today, even though I haven't really been providing any lines on those or anything like that. Those are just my initial thoughts because people continuously ask me for those. But since hockey playoffs officially start today, I will be doing some brief leans on the NHL Game 1s that are on today, as all of you can see me repping my Islanders shirt. As you know, it's a good time. Yankees are hopefully going to be solid this year. The Nets are in the playoffs for once, and the Islanders are in the playoffs for once. My sports teams are all starting to turn a little bit in the right direction, and I'm definitely not going to be complaining. But for the games today, you have the Lightning, who are huge favorites against Columbus. Totals at 6.5. Lightning are about -225 on the money line. I think Tampa's going to kill this team. Tampa's played this team 3 times. They've won each game by about 2 or more goals. I think Tampa's going to kill them. I think Bobrovsky's awful in the playoffs, and I think that Tampa should win this game relatively handily. I like Tampa on the puck line at -1.5. I like Tampa in the first period at -0.5. I think Tampa's going to kill this team. I don't think Columbus has enough weapons. I think Tampa's just going to demolish this team, and I think Tampa in front of home ice should be able to win this game roughly 4-1, 4-1, 5-2, somewhere along those lines. I think Tampa's going to kill this team tonight. So I will be siding with the Lightning tonight. With the Islanders and Pittsburgh, I have, in terms of the actual who I think is going to win, I think it's a toss-up. I'd lean Pittsburgh, even though I'm an Islanders fan, just because of the fact that the Islanders are still a relatively young team, and going against Crosby and Malkin and Kessel is a bold move, to say the least. But in terms of this game, I do see value on the under. I think that 5.5 is a low total for a good reason, as the Islanders will try to do whatever they can to limit Pittsburgh's power play by not committing stupid penalties and by trying to dump the puck, trying to make sure that they don't give up any odd man rushes to Pittsburgh's lethal offense, and they will try to slow the game down to a crawl, which will be Barry Trotz's technique that he used to get with the Capitals last season, as they were finally able to beat the Penguins in that series. I expect a low-scoring game. I think this game will be 3-2 maximum. I think it could be 3-1, 2-1, somewhere along those lines. But I do like the under 5.5 in that Penguins-Islanders game. For Winnipeg and St. Louis, I like Winnipeg winning tonight. I know St. Louis has been rolling, and they're arguably the hottest team in all of hockey. But Winnipeg, with the whiteout crowd, I think Winnipeg's going to be losing their damn minds tonight. And I think that Winnipeg should be able to get the job done. And as I said before, I think Winnipeg has the potential to make a Stanley Cup Finals run, and I think that St. Louis does not. I think Winnipeg will be able to get this game in the bag. It will be close, but I think that they'll win this game somewhere along the realm of 3-2, give or take. Moving on, Nashville and the Dallas Stars. This is a very rare unicorn line. How's it going? How's it going, Drew? Nice to see you. This is a very rare unicorn line in hockey where we have a total of 5, not even 5.5 or 6. There's just a flat total of 5. And I understand why, because both these teams are very defensive-oriented. But in terms of how I look at this game, I have to look towards the over. I don't see any value on a total of 5 in today's hockey, especially with the fact that you're going to have Ben and Sagan on the power play on one side. And on the other side, Nashville still has a lot of quality goal scorers with Johansson and a bunch of other players. I think that Nashville's very deep. You also have Subban on the point at the power play, not to mention the fact that Nashville has the ability at home to score a lot of goals. Do I think this game will get over the 5? Not necessarily. Do I think that there's a better chance for it to go over than under? Yes. I think 5 is tricky because even at 2-2 for overtime, you get a push. I think there's too much value to take the over 5 there because of the fact that I see a minimum 2-2 game. I think that it could start off slow, but Rene's inconsistent. Bishop's good, but he has been streaky in the playoffs in recent years. Not to mention the fact that if a team is up 1 goal late, you're going to be seeing an empty netter, or even 2 goals late with like 4 minutes left, you're going to see empty netters with the last 3-4 minutes. So based on that, I'd have to lean towards the over 5 in that game. And Vegas and San Jose, I don't really have any thoughts on this game. This game is a toss-up, as I said from the beginning. I think the series is going 7 games. In terms of who I like in this game, I'll lean to Vegas in this game. I think San Jose will win the series in 7, but it would not surprise me to see Vegas get off the series on a relatively hot start on the road, try to punch San Jose in the mouth a little bit. So I think that Vegas could get the job done. Money has come in on Vegas, but that doesn't surprise me because of the fact that Vegas is a very public team because of all the people in Vegas betting on Vegas because of the fact that it's the hometown team. But I think that game will be really close. In terms of totals, I'd lean towards the under at 6. Do I feel that confident in it? No, but I'd lean towards the under. But I do think Vegas would be able to get the job done. If you want a potential prop in that game, I would look for that game to potentially go to overtime at whatever odds those are. I think that series is going to be an absolute war. And it would not surprise me to see this Vegas-San Jose game go to overtime in Game 1. But play that, as I said before, it was on the Nationals over 4, which is the Nationals team total over 4, which is available at -105 on 5 dimes. Other than that, don't forget to like and subscribe as we will continue the daily videos. Just a quick reminder, we will be having another special video in a couple of days on the NBA bracket, similar to the style that we did the NHL bracket, and I hope all of you who watched that enjoyed. But that is going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections. So good luck to all of you and your bets today. In terms of, with a quick question, actually, right when I was about to wrap up. In terms of 3-team 8-point teasers, I personally hate teasing NBA games because of the fact that a lot of teams, just momentum-wise, coaches will just pull all the starters if they're getting killed. Do I have any thoughts on 8-point? The one tip I'll give you for teasers is don't cross 0, like ever. If you know what that means. It means if you have like a 6-point favorite or a 7-point favorite, never tease them with 8 points. They're going to be losing a point of value because +0.5 and -0.5 and the 0 in between all cancel each other out because you can't time basketball. You can't lose by 0.5 point and you can't win by 0.5 point. So you end up losing that. So in terms of 8-point teaser advice, look for underdogs and look for double-digit favorites who you could tease down to single digits. But anyway, as I said before, that's going to do it for this installment. Good luck, everybody. See all of you tomorrow.